Nice one. Thank you very much, Ben. All right, g'day everyone. Quick intro. I'm Hamish Watson, that person there. I've been working in IT for 1 or 2 days. I'm a director on multiple education and community boards. I love DevOps, Azure, and data. And I'm MVP and a friend of Red Cape. Alrighty, what I'm going to go through today, tonight, whatever it is for you, is what is the Kusto query language, where it's used, and I'm also going to do a quick discussion around the Azure Data Explorer. So, what is Kusto query language? Well, you can actually shorten it to KQL, which is kind of like what we've done with SQL. And basically, Kusto query languages, it uses the Kusto engine to query big data sets. Specifically, where we have these big data sets is in Azure. I used to be a DBA. These days, I like to think of myself more of as a data engineer or data platform engineer. And I'm basically a DBA with my head in the clouds. I live in Azure all day, every day. And this is where I first discovered Kusto query language, or KQL. And basically, the first thing I ever do when I'm setting up any form of platform, I come from an infrastructure background, so logs are very, very, very important to me because logs tell me what's going on. And in Azure, we've got a couple of things that will tell us what's going on with both our applications and, more importantly, our databases. And so we will use Kusto query language to look at our Azure logs to look for trends, more importantly, some issues, and get some insights into what our Azure services are doing. And don't worry, this is not a session on, applications and stuff. KQL is very, very important for us as data platform engineers. So it enables us to look at the analytics behind the Azure platform to give us both insights, and it allows us to look at different workloads and systems across that platform. And the main thing we're using it for is to look at, are things up? What is the performance of our applications and databases? And it's really cool because I learned KQL from an application developer, and they had used it for their applications, and then I used it to, applied it to the database. But the thing is, it's right across a whole range of other services within Azure, and specifically advanced threat protection and the Azure Security Center means that we can actually look for, and more importantly, alert on things that are happening in our platform. And so I guess for me, it's a collaboration of, application developers and data engineers. Alrighty. So on the left-hand side, we have various sources of monitoring data that will populate our data store, which is what we're going to run KQL over. And on the right-hand side is all the various functions that we have within Azure, and specifically the Azure Monitor that deals with the collected data. And I guess for me, I look a lot at log analytics, and I use log analytics that our databases are feeding metrics and diagnostic information into, and I'm going to query log analytics, but also, in the respond box, there are 4 boxes down, we're going to alert, and we might use auto-scaling functions. And I've written a couple of Azure functions with hyperscale database, and we look at certain metrics, again using KQL, and if the the database performance crosses a threshold, we then, the Azure function kicks off and will scale our Azure hyperscale database accordingly. So, you know, it's not just about querying, it's actually about both, you know, responding and providing a performant platform for us. So yeah, Azure Monitor uses a version of Custo query language that is also used by Azure Data Explorer, and I'll talk about that in a sec. And basically, it allows us to run some very simple log queries. But, you know, we can also do some of those things that we, as, you know, anyone that's written T-SQL or any structured query language, you know, we can do aggregations, joins, and smart analytics. Excuse me. It's free to try out. So you can go to these very simple URLs and actually try it out. ATP is Advanced Threat Protection. I don't know why I didn't type it all out. And so you can actually go in and try it out and learn it. But even better is there is a sequel to KQL cheat sheet, and I have used it a lot because, you know, we're used to hopefully not select star, you know, within SQL. If we are selecting star from dependency table in KQL, it's just dependencies. And so if I write dependencies in the editor, I'll get everything. If I want to narrow my query down, obviously in T-SQL, we select name, result code, blah, blah, blah. Whereas in KQL, we will take dependencies and pipe it to name and result code. And so we project, those are the columns that we are interested in. And grouping and aggregations. So if you do go to this cheat sheet, it is fantastic. It's really long and it's really good. And it shows you a whole range of ways that you can look at, you know, various things. So at this point, you know, I've talked about the fact that I learned this from an application developer, but it's very relevant for Azure SQL. And this is an example from a particular client that I had alerts set up. And so basically I've taken the query written in KQL that generated alert. And basically this will tell me if our database has gone offline. Now, that doesn't happen too often in Azure. But the cool thing is you can actually run KQL on premises as well. So you may run something similar to this query. And, you know, it will alert you in this example. Yeah, the database was down and we were notified immediately, and, you know, we could do, well, some things. But you can also use it as a form of auditing. And so suppose someone, you know, executed an insert or select statement on our Azure database. So we want to look at the SQL statements. And so we can use the KQL language and, you know, filter it out and say, hey, you know, because we have connected our Azure SQL database because we built it using either an ARM template or Terraform. And as part of that automated, you know, infrastructure as code, we've connected all our databases that we build to, you know, Azure Monitor, so that we can do, you know, this type of diagnostic reporting. I'm going to talk very quickly about Azure Data Explorer. And I tell you what, like Azure Data Explorer is not just one 1 hour session, it's like 3 hours worth of session. I've used it. It's basically a fast, it's scalable data exploration service for log and telemetry data. And Azure Monitor uses Azure Data Explorer underneath. Basically, we can have multiple streams coming in from our, you know, modern software, and we can collect, store, and analyze that data. And basically, Azure Data Explorer is ideal for analyzing large volumes of diverse data. So we can, you know, and it scales to terabytes of data in minutes, allowing us to rapidly iterate over that data for queries. It's only read-only, and it uses KQL. So for me, I've been using KQL in terms of the Azure platform. We had a need to use Azure Data Explorer, and I already knew how to do a whole heap of stuff. So yeah, if you haven't already looked at Azure Data Explorer, have a look at it. However, if you do spin it up in Azure, please note that it's a cluster of resources, and it will cost you a fair bit of money. So spin it up using infrastructure as code, and if you don't know what that is, ping me, we'll have a chat. Do some analytic stuff and then tear it down. Learn KQL. It's very easy. There's a cheat sheet. I showed you what it was. It's very powerful. I use it all day, every day, and it makes a massive difference to all of my clients. If you do anything Azure, use log analytics and app insights. You've got to know what's going on in your app or your database. Microsoft's using KQL more and more, so should you. And it's a really good introduction into machine learning capabilities. Thank you for attending my session. Go write some awesome KQL. It's easy as. These are my details. If you do want to learn a little bit more about infrastructure as code, DevOps, Azure, whatever. But a huge thank you to my good friends William and Ben for making this event happen.